Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, and I'm joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And we just came from watching Jeopardy right before recording this, so hopefully that's gonna make us perform better in the show.
Yeah.
We'll see. But we have an episode here. The connecting thing between the two games is that it's like tailor-made for our guests. This is like a perfect perfectly aligns with your interests. So we are joined by returning guest John Cullen. Hey, John.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much. This is you pretty much nailed it. I'm a Canadian, a massive hockey fan. The only disappointing thing, well, other than the game itself, is that I was reminded of the 1998 Olympics for hockey, in which Canada did not win.
Oh no!
So that was very depressing to be reminded of that. But yeah, Jeopardy, great time. I do have a Jeopardy podcast. I am currently in the Jeopardy contestant pool, so there's a lot of relevance to me for the Jeopardy game for sure. So yeah, this feels like a tailor-made twosome for me.
Yeah, there's never been a more perfect lineup. I remember when I first was talking to you about coming on, I almost suggested combining, I think, Wheel of Fortune with some game, and then I immediately felt like that was disrespectful to like a Jeopardy guy to be like, do you want to come talk about this subpar game show compared to Jeopardy?
Yeah, I hate Wheel. Wheel is fine. I would say, like, someone the other day described, and this is in a Jeopardy Discord that I'm in, but someone described Wheel as very good at what it does, which is true. Like, Wheel of Fortune is a good game. It's like Hangman on steroids. It does what it's supposed to do. It's fun. Vanna White is still improbably hot, considering she's like 75 years old or whatever. It's doing everything it's supposed to do. I just don't. I don't need to watch it, especially not now that Ryan Seacrest is hosting. Get real.
Yeah, we watched some. We bought like one of those like TV antennas so we could watch Jeopardy leading up to this. So we've been watching Jeopardy every day, but we have caught some Wheel of Fortune, and I think it has a sinister vibe. I don't know what it is.
Wheel of Fortune does.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I don't know. There's just something. I can't even put it into words, really. There's just something off-putting about it to me compared to like Jeopardy. Watching Jeopardy now even is still like, okay, they've got it figured out. I feel like taken care of when I'm watching Jeopardy. And I don't know what it is, but there's something just it doesn't feel right with Wheel of Fortune.
That's fair. Alex Trebek's whole thing, like his famous quote was that the game is the star of Jeopardy. And I do think that's true. I think there is some level of like, it just doesn't really matter who is playing it. Like, obviously you like some players more than others, but the joy of Jeopardy is watching along, answering the clues while you're sitting in your house, maybe with your partner or alone or whatever. Like, sounds like it's become nightly viewing for you two. It's the same for me and my wife. Every night, me and my wife, Becca, we sit down and watch Jeopardy. And it just like, it truly is one of the few game shows where it feels like the game is the star and you don't necessarily need the competitors to have any riz whatsoever. Because like let's be honest, a lot of the Jeopardy contestants do not have any riz at all. And it just doesn't, and it just does not matter, which is great.
That's definitely been, I think we'll continue to watch it beyond this.
It's fun.
It is fun, yeah. It's a good like thing to look forward to in the day, like to break up your day too. Because for us, it comes on at like 3:30.
Oh, okay. And is Wheel before or after Jeopardy?
Sometimes it's before.
Not next to it. It's at 7.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know.
Interesting. That is really weird. Because that's like kind of a thing too, where like, so I've always grown up in a market where Wheel of Fortune comes directly before Jeopardy, but then there are other apparently US markets where Jeopardy comes before Wheel of Fortune, and it's like this big thing, not big thing, but like people talk about it in the Jeopardy Discord of like, was Wheel of Fortune your lead into Jeopardy, or you would watch it kind of once Jeopardy was over and you didn't feel like changing the channel?
Okay, yeah, I think I would rather have it before. It feels like it should be the opening act.
Yeah, I
Jeopardy.
think when I was living in Maryland, it was Wheel and then Jeopardy.
Well,
makes sense. Maryland's basically Canada, so.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
I want to jump into our games, but of course, we got to hit you with the flashback segment, John. So I want to let you know what was going on at the time of the release of both of these games. We're moving forward. Our last episode was on February 16th, 1998, when we talked about NBA in the Zone 98. We are moving forward to February 23rd, which was for Olympic Hockey 98, and February 25th, which is when Jeopardy got released. The number one song was Nice and Slow by Usher for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Followed by, and then this is kind of the rest of this, My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Oh, yeah.
Which also, number one album for the sixth week in a row. Titanic, music from the motion picture. Let's Talk About Love, Celine Dion, number 2. And Titanic, the movie, is at 10 weeks at number 1. February 20th, actually, the U.S. movie box office hit its quickest 1 billion for a year, which was 51 days in, due to the popularity of Titanic. Its highest grossing single day actually was Saturday, February 14th, 1998, on which it earned $13 million, more than 8 weeks after its North American debut. So, sorry,
because people were going to see it for Valentine's Day? Is that the implication?
We did it actually a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So sorry, Good Will Hunting and The Wedding Singer, but Titanic is dominating throughout the beginning of this year. Do you remember Titanic Mania?
Oh, of course. I mean, it was crazy because like it almost, talking about Titanic is kind of similar to talking about nu metal. Like I know last time I was on the show, I also have a nu metal podcast and we talked about that a little bit, and I don't need to rehash all of that. But like, I think people who were either like really young in the late 90s or not born yet, like really cannot grasp how big nu metal actually was. And it feels similar to Titanic. It's like movies just aren't even the same anymore. It's similar to music, right? It's like, you have these nu metal albums that were selling like 500,000 copies in their first week. And now it's like an Adele record might not sell 500,000 copies in like its first year or whatever. So it's kind of similar to Titanic, where I think like the movies don't exist this way anymore. It's like movies come out in theaters, they're in theaters for a week, and then you can watch them on your TV. And Titanic was like genuinely so huge. And I think you saying like their biggest day 8 weeks after release, like I remember, so my parents went to see it because they weren't sure if me and my sister would be of appropriate age to see it. So I was 13 and my sister was 11, or I guess I was 12 and my sister was 10. And my parents went to see it first, and then they said it was fine for us to see it. We had to like, I think, cover our eyes when you see Kate Winslet's boob for 5 seconds or whatever. And then, so my parents went to see it twice, and I probably saw it on like, I don't know, week 11 or 12 of release, and the theater was full.
Wow.
Like it was just still that type of, it was an event to go see it. And there were so many people that were seeing it multiple times, and it was this huge thing. And even the soundtrack. So for those of you who don't know, the soundtrack is one song. Like it has My Heart Will Go On it, and then every other song on the soundtrack is an orchestral version of that song, like, or some kind of like segment, like some kind of sonata that like just repeats the theme of My Heart Will Go On. Or the motif. So it's not like your typical movie soundtrack of those days where it'd be, 15 somewhat related songs of artists, and you were like, oh, this is a cool way to get all these artists together in one place. The Titanic soundtrack was My Heart Will Go On, and then 13 vocalless tracks, and it was the number one soundtrack forever. It's
Forever.
crazy.
Yeah. What do you think about the song? Do you like My Heart Go? Okay.
It's basically the Canadian national anthem. I mean, I can't come on here and say that I don't like a Celine Dion song. Are you joking?
That's
I mean,
fair,
how do you not like it though? Do either of you not like it? I mean, I feel like you kind of
we're big stands. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some friends who don't, and we took some
Canadian friends.
Some Canadian friends, actually.
Oh, really?
I feel like every time you come on, I tell you about my Canadian friend Andy, but this is just out of yeah, we've got beef with them over
calling out
this.
Andy.
But he lives in America.
No, he lives in Calgary.
Oh, so do I. Okay.
Yeah, so I need you to go beat him up for me, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell... Canada doesn't really have ice, but I'm going to have to, like, tell our version. And I'm going to have to get him deported. This guy doesn't like My Heart Will Go On. Get him out of here. What the fuck is this?
Sorry, Andy.
Yeah.
Calling you out.
I mean, I grew up, like, my mom wasn't, like, a big music person per se. So like my entire childhood of my mom driving, my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was in my early, like my preteens, and driving around in her car, she would only ever have 3 cassettes, and they were the Top Gun soundtrack, the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, and whatever Celine Dion album was most recently out.
That's
so
awesome.
I know the words to just like an unbelievable number of Celine Dion songs, including My Heart Will Go On. And you know what? Celine cooks. You know? She's got a lot of great songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, My Heart Will Go On. It feels impossible to not like. I don't know. It's a behemoth.
Yeah. Well, like Maryland is basically like Canada. Your mom likes to throw on Celine Dion sometimes when we're back home.
Yeah, I guess you've probably heard. We're usually around there for Christmas, so we'll have the the Christmas album. Yeah,
always.
I believe my mom had the Celine Christmas album. That sounds right for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. Because You Loved Me. I can't remember if it's the name of the album. I know it's the name of the song. And then The Power of Love was a big one. She also had an album called Unison, I think my mom had. But yeah, all that whole 90s Celine Dion run. Oof.
Yeah.
She had them all.
So I also have stuff for video games that came out at the time. So I wanted to point out on the Sega Saturn, you had Winter Heat, which our friend Ryan came on when we were talking about the Winter Olympics game and proposed this as like a good alternative to the Nagano like official Winter Olympics game. He said this was a cool winter sports game. Haven't played it, but sounds cool. Neo Geo, you had Metal Slug 2, and our PS1 games, we've got Gex, Enter the Gecko, Skull Monkey, WCW Nitro, X-Men, Children of the Atom, Punky, Spunky, and Speed Racer. So, I don't know. So there's some okay stuff in there, maybe. We'll see Gex later in our timeline. So
I was gonna say that came out on N64, if I recall.
So we're out of we've been out of the era of Candle in the Wind, but on February 24th, 1998, Elton John was knighted. So congrats to him. You also
related.
What's that?
Did you get knighted because of
Probably. They're like, you know what?
Honestly, probably. It probably was a factor, at least.
This is a week after the lyrics to Candle in the Wind were auctioned for like a charity for like a crazy amount of money. I forgot how much it was, but we're still living in Candle of the Wind era, apparently.
I feel like when I was on last, Candle of the Wind was number 1. I feel like I remember singing it when I was here last.
Always a good opportunity, to get you to sing. February 25th was the 40th Grammy Awards. I think the most winningest artists were Bob Dylan, Alison Krauss, and Union Station. Oh, and R. Kelly. Alison Krauss and Union Station and R. Kelly each won 3 awards each. So I don't know the Bob Dylan album, actually. Like, that seems like a Grammys thing, like the Legacy.
Was it like Time Out of Mind? Was it like that?
I should have written it down. I have no idea.
I don't remember. I don't know. I'm not a big Bob Dylan guy, but that was the Grammys he performed at, and the guy stormed the stage.
Oh,
that was the classic moment where the guy had like a soy bomb written on his chest or whatever, and he like came out and started dancing beside Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan did the classic like just looks at him and then just like looks back ahead and just keeps playing the song like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And then the guy ended up like figuring it out, but
I totally forgot about the soy bomb
Time Out
guy.
of Mind is the right answer. 1997.
Okay. Yeah, we screwed up. We'll go back and watch these award shows, but we had better things to do, I think, than watch the Grammys. I don't know.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Also during this time, well, we'll talk about it, but February 7th to the 22nd were the 1998 Winter Olympics in Nagano. Why don't we'll introduce the game first, because I don't think there's a ton to say about it, and then we can also talk about the Olympics in there a little bit. So McKenna set up Olympic Hockey 98.
Olympic Hockey 98 is an ice hockey game and re-release of Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 with the 98 Olympic roster. You can either play a single game in arcade mode or play one of 4 game types in Olympic mode. In arcade mode, you'll play every team, defeating each before you can move on. In the qualify mode, you'll choose one team and play until you qualify. In finals mode, you'll play as one of 8 teams, 6 pre-qualified and 2 of your choosing, in a single elimination tournament. In the playoffs, you'll add 2 teams to the set of 6 pre-qualified teams and set the seeding in a round-robin tournament, which will determine which teams go to the single elimination finals. The game allows you to view records, edit lines and players, as well as change player lineups through a defections menu. Play how you want by customizing rink size, team size, penalties, and more in Olympic Hockey 98.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't do a lot of that stuff you were talking about, actually, this time around. I also wanted to add, this is actually the developer of this game. This is the debut of Treyarch, who went on to, now they mostly do Call of Duty games, but this was where they got their start in development.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Midway didn't do this one?
Midway published it in North America, and Konami published it in Japan under a slightly different name.
Gotcha.
I tried to figure out if this cover athlete was a real person. We usually like to shout them out.
Let me look.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. Like, I couldn't find it anywhere, but...
Yeah, who would have been the Russian goalie at that time? Maybe Nikolai Habibulin, possibly.
I thought there was a chance that maybe they just like threw a guy in a uniform.
That is also super possible. Yeah. That is definitely possible. Because I know that Habibulin is not technically from Russia, so he might have already been playing for. Maybe he's from Belarus. I don't remember, but let me see here. Ice hockey men. Anyway, you can keep talking. I'll figure it out.
Well, so this game, we kind of have already hinted at this, but this game actually reviewed quite poorly due to the fact that it's kind of just a reskin of arguably 2 previous games. We sort of talked about this a little bit the last time you were on, talking about Wayne Gretzky, John, but this game actually, it even got a 0 from IGN. That's how.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. What do you think about this game in particular? I mean, I think all things considered, it's still like a fun hockey game, like I said about the other ones. But yeah, it is like not much to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It was just like, I was thinking about this because the last time I was on, we did Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. And when we were reading about that during the episode, we learned that like Wayne Gretzky had signed like a 3-year deal or a 3-game deal with Midway. And so we had Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. Then we had Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98, which was basically exactly the same game. Now we have Olympic ice hockey. I don't know if this fulfills Wayne Gretzky's contract because he is a playable player in the game, but it's not called like Wayne Gretzky's Olympic hockey. So I don't know if this, because I think is there a Wayne Gretzky's 2000? Or am I just imagining that?
For N64?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably not. So this might be the third of the games. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So like, it's just funny that this was kind of how they got out of the contract. It feels like like bands when they would sign these like really prohibitive record label contracts where they had to make 5 or 7 albums for the record label, and then they would put out like 2 greatest hits compilations to reach their total so they could get to a new label. This kind of feels like that. Really, the only good part of this game is that for whatever reason, instead of just saying edit rosters, as McKenna said, it does say defections, which is super funny. To be like, I want Wayne Gretzky to defect to Russia and be on Russia.
It gives the game more weight, I think, more stakes. You know?
Totally. Because really, I think we only use the term defection for people from the Soviet Union. So the idea of like, you would just, if someone from Sweden was going to play for Canada, I think you would just call it like immigrating. I don't think you would say like defecting. So it's very funny that any guys, I want to take this guy from Italy and put him on Team Canada. He's going to defect from Italy and play for Canada. I think is very, very funny to me.
We loved that. Yeah, that was so good.
That was the one thing I was like, I got to include this in my description.
That was easily the coolest part, for sure.
I think maybe the fact that it is like you said, it's like a greatest hits, like almost like a filler or like a technical obligation. That might be why it's like Treyarch probably got to do this, because Midway or whoever was probably like, we're not going to waste our time on this. Like, you guys get in there and change the team logos to country flags and call it a day, So that was probably
totally
entry level job for them.
Well, it's also just like, it is really funny because, a lot of these teams are not good. Like, they're not good teams. Like Japan being in here, Italy, Austria, they were in the Olympics. Don't get me wrong, but it is very funny to say like, we're going to clear out our 3-game contract by letting people play as the ice hockey team from Japan. That will definitely get the job done. People would love to do that. Like there's like, if you were a kid and you were playing this game, you would truly only want to play as like Canada or America. So it's also like you're putting all of these guys, into the game that no one actually wants to play with. No one's ever going to play as Italy in this game or whatever. So that is also like kind of a funny thing to me, at least when it's the NHL. you might have your favorite NHL team, but then you have some other players you like, and you maybe want to, I'll play a game as this team, and then I'll play a game as this team, whatever. Realistically, in an Olympic game, you're playing as Canada or the States, and that's it, probably.
I guess that's why it's really crucial. I don't know if this was in the other games, but in this one, you could edit the player stats with like the points.
Right.
So maybe it's like, hey, if you want to play as like whatever this terrible team, maybe you go boost all the player stats and you can like make your dream version of them or something.
Right. Yeah, and they probably did that because the bad teams were probably ranked the players would be ranked so low.
Yeah.
Like none of them would have. So if you don't know, or your listeners don't know, 1998 was the first time that NHL players were allowed to play in the Olympics. So it was like this big deal that you were having these professional hockey players that were allowed to play in the Olympics. And then you have all of these countries who are in here who have like zero NHL players. Like Japan, literally all of their players are playing in Japan at the time, like in whatever the Japanese ice hockey league is at the time. Italy has no NHL players. They have one guy who's playing in the AHL, which is the like farm league for the NHL. But Germany has no NHLers other than their goalie, Olaf Kolzig, and one defenseman, Uwe Krupp. And like, that's it. So yeah, it's just like it's also kind of funny because you're just, instead of filling these rosters with people that like kids would want to play as, you're filling it with, there's like at least 100 or 150 players in here that no one's ever heard of.
Right. So was it before then? It would be like in America and Canada, like the teams would be like made up of just like players who didn't play. They were like specifically Olympian hockey players.
So yes. So there was like Canada had like the Canadian national hockey team, and they would like belong to that program. And then what they would do is they would, for the Olympics and the World Championships, which were also amateur at the time, they would select players from the national team, and then they would also select like elite junior players or college players who hadn't played in the NHL yet.
Oh, okay.
So Canada in the 1994 Olympics has like a heartbreaking shootout loss to Sweden. And like the Canadian team has Paul Kariya, who would go on to be an amazing NHL player, but he was in college at the time, so he was not a pro athlete. They had Eric Lindros, who was 18 years old and still playing junior hockey and not a pro hockey player yet. Oh. Sweden had Peter Forsberg, who was playing in the Swedish men's league, but they didn't consider that professional hockey. So he was allowed to play for Sweden. So like there are these like stories from the Olympics of it. There were players who would go on to be stars, but it was usually like 3 or 4 of them, and then like 20 guys who maybe had a cup of coffee in the NHL, and now they're like 28 years old, and they're just like playing for Canada occasionally in these tournaments.
I see. That must kind of stink then when they were like, okay, now NHL players are allowed, and you're like, well, I guess I'm not playing in the Olympics now.
They pretty much got rid of that program, like at least for Canada anyway. They got rid of the like national team program. So now it's all, because the World Championships and the Olympics, you can have NHL guys in it. So
dang. McKenna, what'd you think of the game?
If I didn't see the Olympic teams on there, I don't know the difference between this and the other 2 hockey games we played. I read in Nintendo Power, it said, if you don't have Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98, then you might like this one.
Which is what they said about Wayne Gretzky in 98.
They just say you might like this one. Like it was not it's not very convincing.
We did discover, this was actually on the most recent episode of the Fun Factor podcast, where they go through old gaming magazines. They just tackled an issue of Nintendo Power, and we talked about it a little bit with them on the show, but Nintendo Power had an interesting way of handling games that they couldn't say outright, are like, they could be too critical in certain ways of games. They just had to like have a vague like pros and cons, but they couldn't be like speak their mind in certain ways. So if to me that wording from Nintendo Power says a lot about the game, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
We did like though the national anthems and stuff like that. that they added.
It was fun to listen to the national anthems.
It was also weird though that they would keep playing. Like if you skipped the opening scene to start the game, it would still play the entire national anthem.
Yeah.
So your first minute of the game, the national anthem's just playing in the background while you're playing hockey, which I thought was really funny.
Definitely very like slapdash like thrown in there for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the national anthems, I guess, were a nice touch.
The flags waving.
Yeah, the flags for sure. But yeah, like it is. I think this is the other thing, right? Is that, you know, McKenna, you bringing up like the Nintendo Power being like, well, if you don't own the other one, you might want to buy this one. Like this would be just DLC in an NHL game now, right?
Totally.
Like you'd make the NHL game, like EA makes an NHL game every year. You'd make the NHL game and then you would add this as DLC. Like that's what they did with this year because they had the Four Nations Cup. Which was like, it happened in February and it was just the US, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. And it was like an exhibition tournament, but it was sort of designed as like a warm up for the Olympics that are coming up in 2026. And they added that as DLC in like November. And it was free. But even if it was like a little bit paid, something like this, like if you had Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 and then they're like, for $10, you can have all the Olympic rosters and you can play as the Olympians and there's the national anthem and the jerseys. I mean, they're not official jerseys. It's still like the other game where it's just a color and then the logo stapled on, or in this case, the flag. But yeah, like then you could go, okay, sure. But Wayne Gretzky, like all three of these games are full price games. So if you loved Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98 and then you go out and you pay $70 or whatever for this game, you'd be like, what the fuck? What's going on? This is exactly the same game, except I can win the Olympics. But then when you win, there's not even like a medal ceremony or something when you win.
No
It's
time
just
to
like,
put that in.
Congratulations, you won the Olympics. And you're like, oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no time to put too much in. Even the anthems are thrown on there. So, I mean, for me, it kind of was DLC in 2025 because I think I paid like $5 for the cartridge. But yeah, at the time, I would probably not be too happy. Hopefully, I would read a magazine that would urge me. Maybe the IGN review might urge me away from getting it. I guess I also wanted to mention the Nagano Olympics in general, John, because I know this has a connection to you through more than just hockey, but also curling. I don't know if we talked about this on the pod yet, but I mean, you're a known curler. You're known in the curling world.
Sure.
What was this year? This was an important year for curling in the Olympics.
Yes, so Nagano was the first time that curling was a full medal sport in the Olympics. So it had been a demonstration sport a couple times before in 1988 and 1994, and then it became a full medal sport in 1998. And yeah, a big moment. It's literally changed the whole game of curling. It's a completely different game now that there's an Olympic gold medal on the line. It's really revolutionized the sport. It's professionalized the sport. All these countries are chasing the Olympic gold medal. And this was the first time they did it. It was pretty special, and also like leaves a unique legacy in that Japan is now quite an accomplished curling nation, particularly on the women's side of the game. And it's basically entirely because of these Olympics.
Wow.
That's
cool.
There were a few Japanese Canadians who were quite successful but in Canada, like in the 70s and 80s, particularly in BC. There was one curler named Fuji Miki who had won the BC championships and stuff, and then his son won the Worlds in 2000. But there hadn't been really curling programs in Japan. And if you don't, Nagano is in Hokkaido, so it's like quite north. So it's where all the like ski hills are, and it's sort of the wintry area of Japan. and it's really become like a curling hotbed. And there's a couple very well-known teams from that area, and they are like legitimately celebrities in Japan. They're actually like more famous than curlers are in Canada. Like they have huge advertising deals. They get stopped in the street. One of the curlers on the Japanese women's team has like 400,000 Instagram followers. Like they're a very well-known commodity now. The men's program has not ever quite caught up, but the women's program is very strong. They currently have 5 teams in the top 20 in the world. So it all kind of started from this. Was people saw curling, and obviously the legacy of the Olympics is that they left curling facilities in Nagano. And it's 20, or I guess almost 30 years later now, 27 years later.
Wow, that's rad.
It's made Japan into a curling power. So
I'd like to believe that also the Nagano Winter Olympics video game that Konami did that we've covered played a part in that. I'm sure believe
it did.
That. Yeah, that's I'm
sure it did.
That was curling was the best game that we played on that. It was really one of the only like really good ones. I mean, I don't know if it's a good curling game, but we both quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
We're going to revisit that some more. I think we're going to bring that. We're going to be around a bunch of our friends next week. I think we'll bring that for sure and get some curling going. I can't speak to the accuracy. Like, John, is there like a curling game that you know of that's
There's never been a great curling game made. Yeah. So they around that time they made a couple. They were like for PC. So there was one called Granite, which was decent. And then there was this kid actually developed a couple that were called Takeout Weight Curling. I think he did 2. And they were okay. They had some pretty large flaws. And I would imagine they're almost impossible to play now in this day and age. Like, the graphics were kind of not that good for back then, so I can only assume how they would be now. And then, no one's really tried to make a curling game since. So it's sort of interesting because I think it would lend itself well to a video game.
Definitely.
I guess the market's not big enough.
I keep proposing that Nintendo makes one for the Switch 2 that makes use of the Joy-Con mouse controls.
Good call. There is a game for Switch called Let's Play Curling. That is, I don't think it's like a full game because it's only like $30. And apparently it's pretty decent. I didn't play it, but they got a few famous curlers to be in the commercial for it. And I think people said it was decent for sure, but there hasn't been the sort of like definitive curling game, I would say.
Yeah, curling needs to like blow up a little bit more. For sure.
We're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, hearing you talk about it, listening to your Broomgate podcast about it, which was really fascinating to listen to too, and playing the game, like I'm very interested in it now. So I think it could have a chance of hooking me. I think maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see, but.
It's a very accessible like game to play. You guys are in Chicago, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. There's a curling club in Chicago, so
actually, it's our guest on our Winter Olympics episode is from Nashville, and I guess he's into curling, and he mentioned that as well, and he also recommended Broomgate to me. So,
there you go. Yeah, I was at that Nashville. It's not even a curling club; it's a curling bar. And it is owned by owned by former NFL quarterback and Pro Bowler Mark Bulger. He got really into curling after his football career, and then he opened up. Have you ever played Topgolf?
No, I know of it, but I've never actually done it.
Okay, so it's sort of like a Topgolf or like a Brooklyn Bowl or Bolero like type idea where you. Where it's like, it's got like a curling club attached to it, but it's a lot more like you go there for food and drinks and whatever. And then you can also like curl while you're there. It's a little bit more of a casual atmosphere. So, but the Chicago Curling Club's in Northbrook. I don't know how close that is to you, but you should definitely, if it's close enough, give it a try.
Don't have much else to say about the game itself. You know, it is what it is. So why don't we to switch over and talk about Jeopardy.
And now, here is our host, Alex Trebek.
Welcome to your favorite game of answers and questions.
Jeopardy is a video game based on the TV quiz show of the same name, where contestants are given clues in the form of answers, and they must respond with the correct question. Up to 3 players can buzz in, and you can set the difficulty of any computer players. You can also set the difficulty of the questions from easy to expert, as well as whether to require loose or exact spelling. Computer-provided clues, which can be toggled on or off, will provide a set of possible answers to choose from once you've typed in some letters. Otherwise, the game plays out like the show, with Jeopardy and Double Jeopardy, Daily Doubles, and a Final Jeopardy.
Yeah, it's Jeopardy. I think
It's
the quote,
Jeopardy.
it's like our Wheel of Fortune episode.
Have you seen Jeopardy before? This is it.
So this was made by Game Tech, who did a lot of they did the Wheel of Fortune game, but also they did pretty much, not all, but up to this point the majority of Jeopardy games, including like all of the NES ones that we've played together. But this was actually the first game to come out after they went bankrupt, and all of their assets, well, not all of, a number of their assets were purchased by Take-Two, who is like one of the biggest game publishers out there. And so they published this game, and it reviewed poorly, actually, for a few reasons. But John, I guess you're the expert here for Jeopardy. I mean, do you have a lot of experience with Jeopardy video games, and how did this one stack up?
Yeah, definitely. So for Super Nintendo, I had Jeopardy and Sports Jeopardy, both of which were pretty seminal. I used to play them quite a bit. I was a big Jeopardy head, even at a young age. I don't remember having Jeopardy for N64, but then like playing it before, like for this episode, I definitely remember like the character models and stuff. So I definitely have played it at some point. When that is, I don't know, but I had definitely played it at some point. What sticks out about this Jeopardy is that it's the last one for a video game console to not be multiple choice.
That's crazy.
So like, yeah. So all of the like Wii Jeopardy and PlayStation Jeopardies and stuff that came out after this are all multiple choice. So obviously, if you are someone who likes Jeopardy, that completely ruins the game. So it's just like, I haven't played a Jeopardy since this one. It was kind of fun to revisit it because you do get to type in the actual answers and you can be right or wrong. I mean, I looked at some reviews for this, and a lot of them talked about like the graphics being not very good for like this era of N64, because now you're starting to get into like the N64 has now been out for a couple of years. Other games are starting to look pretty good. This one kind of looks like an early era N64 game, but also I'm playing it because I want to play a game of Jeopardy. The graphics literally don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't really like when I was playing it the last couple days, at no point did I think, geez, I wish these graphics were better.
Sure.
But that seems to be like what a lot of the reviews bring up as a negative. But overall, yeah, I mean, it was a positive experience there. You know, it was slightly racist at times, which was, I guess, a little problematic. But
we didn't.
Other than that,
I don't think we got any racist clues that I can remember.
Yeah. It's a lot of like casual racism. Like there was one of the categories I had was transportation. And then it was like the Indians had this method of transport that, you know, like, so it's like stuff like that where you're like, oh, okay. I guess in 1998 we were just
That's fair.
saying that.
That's, yeah, they should put a warning on the game. Yeah, graphically, I will say it was very reminiscent of the Game Tech Wheel of Fortune game we played, which was definitely like this stood out more in Wheel of Fortune, I think, because they animated the characters, but only for like a split second. So it was like even more noticeable. So we would often like get a laugh out of that. But it definitely, like if you compare it to its contemporaries Jeopardy games, like they definitely are like better looking. Like even like on the Genesis or SNES, especially on CD based systems where they'd have even more Alex Trebek.
The PC one had videos. Like the PC one was they had literally filmed actors, and then the actors would. I think the actors even had anecdotes. They would do the like anecdote section of the show, and then like if you got a question right, then it might flash to your character like fist pumping, or if you got it wrong, it might flash to your character going like "oh no" and like holding their head or whatever.
That's amazing.
So it was definitely, and that was out before that. I think the PC Jeopardy was 95, I think, somewhere around there. And the graphics of that are way better than the graphics of this.
Yeah. Like you said, it's more about playing the game. McKenna, you have some Jeopardy video games to compare it to. What did you think about this one?
I mean, this one felt a little easier than the other ones I played because it's slightly more contemporary.
So that's the big thing with the NES Jeopardies. It's become like a party game.
Yeah, well, whenever we're at our friend's house who has it, and then we have like a whole group of people, we'll all play as a team. Then we might we might fare a little better. We
usually play NES Jeopardy Junior on easy, and then it's like, okay, now we're killing it.
I feel like most of the time you're either looking at the board, or you're filling in your answer, so the graphics there aren't really a concern to me.
Yes,
as long it's readable, so it's fine.
The clicks of having to actually select the letters is so loud. That's kind of annoying.
I turned it off when I was streaming it yesterday because I was like, you guys can't like that, can? Because you want to leave the sound on because you get Alex Trebek doing the "oh, sorry, no" or "that's right" or whatever, and you want to hear Alex's voice, but it's not really worth the trade off of. Like it's just like, oh my god.
Especially on this one because they don't have a lot of Alex Trebek like clips.
No, they don't.
They can't store that much on this cartridge, so they have like 3 that they go through, and I feel like they're usually negative. There's not as much of like. I feel like the one we saw the most was like, oh, that's not right.
I think he says gosh. There's one where he says oh gosh, no. You're right. I think that there's a couple times where it will cut to talking head of Alex, but I guess again this is also the limitation of the N64 cartridge because it takes up about 1/20th of the screen, so it just shows this like kind of like blue background, and then him in the very top corner. Looks like someone Twitch streaming, to be honest. He like pops up in the top corner, and then it's like, ooh, sorry, no, and then it like goes back, and it's like, oh, we couldn't get full screen Alex going here. That's unfortunate.
It would break the game now.
It would have broken the game for sure.
Well, at least he showed up because Pat Sajak did not show up for the Wheel of Fortune.
Oh,
game.
Interesting.
It was hosted by Vanna White, which was that was better.
It's fun.
Okay, that is interesting. I wonder if that was like Pat Sajak turning down like whatever the money amount was, or if they were like, well, we're only going to pay one of them, so we should pay Vanna and not Pat. And Pat was like secretly pissed about it.
I don't know why I've like built him up as a heel in my head. Where I'm like,
oh yeah, I don't like Pat Sajak at all. I think he's a real phony.
Okay, yeah, all right, sweet. I like what we're getting at.
And it kind of seems like they're training his like daughter to take over for Vanna whenever Vanna's finished. Maggie Sajak,
a nepo Vanna,
she's like, nepo Vanna, because she does some like presenting and stuff on the show, and she's just kind of like been around. So I feel like they're trying to. I think the idea is that she's going to be the Vanna. Yeah, she's the on-air social media correspondent for Wheel of Fortune, which is like, what does that even mean? But it literally all it is it's going to be whenever Vanna is finished, she's for sure going to be the new Vanna. Because I mean, she's not bad to look at.
Yeah, that's like the main qualification, I think, for that. Can you
pretty much
touch a screen?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think, yes. I don't know. It's weird, sinister vibes there, but it's unlike on Jeopardy. Like I think one thing, this is not really anything to do with the game, but we're watching now, and I think Ken, I like him as a host.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, I feel like he's got us covered when we're watching. He's not going to let us down. He's going to steer the ship and make you feel good while not waste. Like, the show moves along at an amazing pace while still having like personality in it. So he's kind of
Ken's very good. He's very good. He's really like grown into it. When it first looked like he was going to take over for Alex, I thought he was only okay. And then, as he's gotten more comfortable, he's excellent. He's really, really good. You almost can't imagine anyone else doing it. So very, very impressed.
We've, I guess we got to just come in when he's already starting to hit his stride, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, okay. One way I guess this got negative reviews that we found out was that the game does not remember if it's given you a category like after you turn it off, basically. So you can like pretty easily stumble upon the same category. And we played the game like 4 times maybe, and I think we did have a repeat category at least once.
Yeah. The libraries category.
The libraries, yeah. But also, we didn't realize it till like 3 questions in. And we got some of them wrong. So I'm already bad at like regular Jeopardy. Like, I watch it and I'm like, I feel stupid. But like playing the game and having that happen, like,
I'll have it. I know I had a thing with that category, which I do sometimes with other ones, where I'll think it's asking for one thing, where it's asking for another. Like, I kept thinking it was asking for the library name, when it was usually asking like
a city name.
Yeah, or university.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, the University of Pennsylvania, right, was one of them. Yeah. But I like, at least in terms of the, like, I can actually handle this as a game. Like, I know watching Jeopardy the show, it's like if I was on it, I would get killed, because it takes me like 30 seconds sometimes to like understand the question. Like, I'm doing it in my head like a riddle, which they're good questions, but yeah, I just feel so dumb when I'm watching it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a feature of the Super Nintendo Jeopardies. I haven't played this one enough. I think I played also 4 games total preparing for this episode, and I didn't have any repeats. The one thing that I would say, and it also could be that you had repeats because maybe you were playing on easy questions only. So I thought that was like an interesting feature of Jeopardy, where you could pick the question difficulties. So the default is that it only gives you easy questions, and then they have easy and average questions and easy, average, and expert questions. So I played on the easy, average, and expert questions difficulty, and I didn't have any repeat categories. So my guess is that that's the way they're doing it, is they have some categories that they're sort of marking as easy. So if you're only playing on easy, you're probably getting repeated, because I think I saw in the write-up for the game there was 450 categories.
That's pretty good.
If you're playing 12 categories per game, then realistically it should take you somewhere around 40 games to have gotten through all the categories, which is, that's not bad for a video game. The only thing that I found in regards to the clues, and obviously if I kept playing it, it would eventually get annoying that there would be repeat categories, but it's also the category distribution. So like Jeopardy itself, the gameplay of Jeopardy, or like the game show Jeopardy, is very much like a Jeopardy board that has 6 categories, probably has like 1 geography, 1 history, 1 English, 1 pop culture, 1 science, and 1 wordplay, or something like that, some kind of distribution like that. Whereas this was clearly, the game has a bucket of Jeopardy categories and a bucket of double Jeopardy categories, and then it just picks 6 at random. So like I had one game that I played on stream yesterday where the double Jeopardy board had 4 geography categories.
Whoa,
so like
okay.
that would just never happen in a regular game of Jeopardy. So that to me was one of the only things that sort of stood out where it was like, okay, that's not a great like categorical distribution. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you're playing the game of Jeopardy. I mean, I think it's pretty overall, it does what it says it's going to do. Like in 1998, if you are the type of person who is interested in the idea of a Nintendo 64 Jeopardy, I feel like the game is giving you pretty much everything that you would expect.
It delivers. Yeah. We got to specify though. We were playing the NES Jeopardy on easy. We had a more specific setup for this one, which we played. What was our
I think
setup?
the first time we played easy, but after that we did like the highest.
We only did the highest like difficulty
but
questions,
with, like easy computer.
Easy
player.
computers though. Basically, we were like, give us the difficult trivia, but we don't want to compete against the computer. We basically just want to do the trivia questions because we don't. It's very demoralizing to get beat by the computer at Jeopardy when you're not good at it. Like I could see you actually you're in your stream you had to buzz in for everything like that.
Yes, I was playing the must buzz challenge. Yeah, and it went pretty well. I the first game. So I was playing, I had to buzz in on every clue, and every daily double and final Jeopardy, I had to bet all the money I had. And I won both games. The first one I won with 48,800, and the second one I won with like 32,000 something. But that was better than I expected. Like I feel like there are games where like the category distribution would be bad for me, or I would just like get Final Jeopardy wrong and end up with 0. I just got lucky that both the Final Jeopardy clues I got were really, really easy. So that helped too. But yeah, I mean, the way the game is structured also is it always lets you buzz in first. The computer will, so it plays the clue on the screen, and then there's a 10-second lockout, and then you have 15 seconds with which to buzz. So when it flips from lockout to the timer, you can buzz in, and the computer never buzzes in before 12. So you get a 3-second window to outbuzz the computer every single clue. So that is the other thing is like, if you were just playing at home, and I actually think that's a good idea, right? Because like you said, you don't want to be fucking loading up Jeopardy at home and the computer's beating you on the buzzer to clues you know the answer to. That's not fun. Why would that?
No.
Like that's not fun at all. So I actually think that that's a good idea that they did that, but it is also just like funny that if you want to buzz in first on every clue, you can. Like I had the Jeopardy boards have 60, like there's 60 total clues in a Jeopardy game, and I got outbuzzed once ever. There was one time where for some reason the computer buzzed in the first 3 seconds. Other than that, I got in every other time. So
okay, good. You saved me there because we were playing the other day, and there's one that you knew and you said, and I was like, all right, and they buzzed in and beat us to it, and I was the one doing the buzzing. We were playing together. I was doing the buzzing, and I was like, they beat me to it. They're too fast. But you telling me that I always had a chance is kind of upsetting.
No, it was so random. I beat them on 59 out of 60 clues, but there just happened to be one clue where as soon as the lockout time expired, they got in, and I was like, what the hell? It was very odd. So that must have been what happened to you.
Yeah, okay. See, I'm sorry, McKenna.
I forgive you.
I don't think we have so I have a little bit of a flashback segment for this part. John, I don't know, do you ever get big in like looking at the old stats of old Jeopardy games or like old winners and stuff like that?
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So February 13th, 1998 was the Tournament of Champions that year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here, I found the, actually, you might even have a better idea. I sent the link to the stats on that. You might have a better analysis than us, but it looks like
sure.
Dan
Dan Melia.
Melia?
Melia, yeah.
Okay.
I think he wins. Okay, yeah. Bob Harris was an extremely good player, but I remember Dan Melia winning as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he won with 10,000 with 23 questions right and only one wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just looks like Kim and Bob screwed themselves on the daily doubles here.
Okay. Oh yeah, because Kim he had 2 daily doubles and Bob had 1. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still like starting to like I actually get a lot from listening to your podcast, but like, you know, now I'll start to understand like what some of the strategies are and things like that. Stuff I just would never consider. I'm just like, question right, question wrong, like, do you bet it all or not? You know, like that's the basic stuff I know. So I don't know if there's anything you see here that they could have done better. Daily doubles sounds like.
Well, so in the late 90s, Jeopardy strategy was not optimized at all. So you'll notice if you look at J Archive, the number in the top corner is the order in which the clues were selected. So it goes from 1 to 30. There's 30 clues per round. And as you can see, they were in the late 90s still playing top down. So that was the like old traditional way of playing Jeopardy. Was you would just start with the top of the board, in this case the $100 clue of a category. And then if someone got that $100 clue right, they would either go down to 200 in the same category, or they would pick 100 from a different category. So they were always playing top down. And so they kind of made finding the daily double a bit of a game of chance, because it was really just like, oh, well, hopefully I have control of the board by the time we get down to, because the daily doubles are most likely to be in the bottom 2 rows of the board. So you just are kind of like, oh, I hope I get lucky. And then by the time I get to the bottom rows, I'm in control of the board. Whereas now players actively seek the daily doubles. So that kind of didn't even change until it was probably like the late aughts, early 10s. There was a player named Arthur Chu, who kind of was the first guy to like bounce around and specifically look for daily doubles. Also, back in this day, the players bet much more conservatively on the daily doubles. So players these days, actually, this game is pretty good because it's Tournament of Champions. It's a little different. So you see one daily double, 3,100 was wagered, and another one, 4,700 was wagered. But a lot of times in the old Jeopardy games, you'll see very soft daily double wagers compared to now, where players realize that getting the daily doubles is the most important part of the game, and maximizing their value is the most important part of the game. So this is like, for today's standards, this is a poorly played game of Jeopardy. But for those days, that's just nobody knew any better. So
it's like any competition, like over time, people just hone the skill or whatever they're going for. For like all
totally
for any strategy, I just defer to you, McKenna, because I'm like, just give me the question. I don't like when there's betting and stuff. I just like, how much should I put in?
I'm like, how much do we need to secure our lead or pass the other player?
That's all we can go off of. But I'm like learning now from your show, John, that there's even like there's such advanced strategies just about like letting other people get questions. Like I was listening to your episode that came out, I think today or yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah,
I was like, it made sense, but it is something I would never consider, because I always just think of the points or the money, like like your score in a trivia.
For
like
sure.
At the end of the round, you look, how are we doing? But in this, you gotta like.
And don't get me wrong, there are Jeopardy players currently who still don't play the game properly. Like they clearly have not thought about optimal wagering strategy or like how to play the board properly. But yeah, like the example we gave on our show today was there was 2 players who were very close. They were only separated by $400. And then there was a woman in 3rd place who was well behind them. And so the last clue left on the board was a $400 clue. So if the guy in 2nd got it right, he would have tied the person in 1st. And then the girl who was in 3rd rang in and got it correct. And that's actually really, really bad strategy. The only way that it's likely that she wins the game is if she lets the guy who's in 2nd ring in and get it right to tie the guy in 1st because if those two are tied, their most likely Final Jeopardy wager is to both bet it all, which would make her live. Unfortunately, by her ringing in, now the guy in second only has to bid enough to pass the guy in first, like $400. Like his Final Jeopardy wager, he wagered 1,000 because he just needs to stay ahead of her, and he's hoping for the guy in first to get it wrong. So yeah, so she actually like screwed herself by not passing on that clue, which again, as I said on the Jeopardy pod, doing that math in real time is hard, but that is also part of the strategy of Jeopardy. Sometimes it's actually beneficial to not ring in, or like if you're in first place, if you can do a quick math, like let's say you're in first place and you're close to having what we'd call a lock game or a runaway game, which is where no matter what the other competitors in Final Jeopardy wager, they can't pass you if they get it right. You can actually do quick math of the clues left on the board, and it might make more sense for you to never ring in, because if you get it wrong, that's the only way that people can catch you. So that's also part of the Jeopardy strategy. And yeah, there's lots of shit going on. It's a complex game.
Yeah, in the moment, I would just be like, I want to get the question right so people think I'm smart, you know?
Yep, 100. And for sure, that's what the woman in third place was doing. 100%. She's just like, well, I've gotten my ass kicked by these two guys, but if I can get in on this last clue and get it right, hey, at least I got the last one right.
Okay, this is not from the Tournament of Champions, but I did pull the Final Jeopardy question from the day this game came out.
Okay. Let's play.
If you want to do some live trivia, I'll hit you with this.
Yeah, let's do it.
The category is Asia.
Okay.
And the answer is 19th century novelist Jose Rizal was a hero of this country's independence movement. I had no idea.
Can you spell it? His last name?
Rizal. I don't know if I pronounced it right.
No, that's fine. But that's Asia? Jose Rizal.
Yeah. Did you know this?
So
no. This is a hard one.
This sounds yeah. Because it would sound like he's like not Asian, obviously. So it's like, what is sort of like a Spanish or Portuguese colony that's in Asia?
We're seeing how you work it out. Yeah, that's good.
But I'm just trying to think though. What is the what was the date again?
19th century novelist.
Is it the Philippines?
It is.
Okay.
There you go. Nice. So you're ready to go. You got that. So
I'm ready. I'm in. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will make that joke to you over the next 2 years or whatever.
Yeah. It's more, I talked about it on the show on the Jeopardy pod this week too, but it's more like now when I get clues wrong and my wife like needles me and is like, if you were on the show and you got it wrong like that, you'd go viral. And I'm like, oh, good, great. Yeah. Cool.
Nothing to make you feel more ready for it.
Yes, that's fine, I guess. Whatever. Yeah. It's there's a lot going on, and I that was the only thing I was going to say about this game that I was like, because now we're talking about the past and records and stuff. That was the only thing I would say that was disappointing about this game, is that there is no records screen or records keeping. It doesn't seem like, and there is no like tournament. Like that, even in 1998 when this game came out, like the Tournament of Champions would have been a big thing. So like it doesn't feel as though it would have been that hard for Game Tech to put in a Tournament of Champions, or some mode where you could feel like your win counts for something. Because like right now, it's just you play the game, you win, and it goes, congratulations, you're our new Jeopardy champion, and then it just goes back to the home screen, and you're like, okay, and that's it. So even if there was like a record screen that kept track of your highest total, or like I say, some kind of tournament or reward for winning a certain number of games in a row, that was to me like the biggest oversight in this game.
Yeah, I think I said this already, but much like the Wheel of Fortune game, you can tell like these are some of the most like budget games that we've covered so far. We've definitely played some games that were like hard to even look at or like not fun to experience. But this one you can tell is like, in terms of just like the amount of time and resources put into it was very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have anything else to add about this game. I mean, it's Jeopardy.
Yeah, it's Jeopardy. We'll play some more.
Yeah, we'll keep playing for sure. I don't think it'll be...
I'm definitely going to stream more. I was telling you this before we got on the air, but it's the most like stream viewers I've ever had. And I just played in the middle of the day and I was like, hey, I'm playing N64 Jeopardy and I have to buzz in. And people seemed really stoked on it. So I'm like, I guess this is a new thing I'm going to be doing on my Twitch channel because people were really into it.
That's good. If you do get on, maybe if you get on a run, you've got like a good anecdote with that one, like, hey,
yes.
He prepped with the N64 Jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly. I prepped with a game that still uses the word Indian and where Yugoslavia is a correct answer for questions.
John, I don't know, anything else about this game you wanted to throw out there?
I don't think so. I just, it was fun. And I would say, even though I only played 4 games, this one didn't actually feel super outdated to me. And it made me wonder if they thought about that. Like if maybe that was a complaint about the NES or the SNES ones. Because I can remember specifically like the sports one too, like going back to play the sports one, there's so many clues about like records and stuff like that if you're going to play the game in 2025, a bunch of those records are broken and you don't remember, So this one, it kind of felt like there were some clues where I'm like, this is so 1998. Like it would either ask about a celebrity that is now like 80, but in 1998 was 40. So then you're like, oh, okay. At that time you would have known more about that. Like I had one that was like a celebrity relatives category, I think. And the $100 clue, so the easiest clue was like, this is Warren Beatty's cousin or whatever. And I was like, what?
Oh, I think we got that too, yeah.
It's Shirley MacLaine was the answer.
Right.
And I was just like, yeah, I guess in the 90s, that was probably like super well-known celebrity trivia, but in 2025. So there was definitely still some like that. But I would say for the most part, I didn't feel like I was playing it and I was like, oh, wow, this feels really outdated, That's
definitely like why we had to do the NES ones on easy, because it would be a lot of questions about like, people who was on the late night show in 1962 and they did this, and you're like, oh boy, like my grandpa might know this,
Yeah. All specific politicians on like state levels.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Some like minute scandal.
Yeah, this is the current state senator of Nebraska. You're like, I guess in 1989 that was a very knowable fact, but right now I have no clue.
We had some 90s type clues, but I can't remember. Not clues, answers, but I can't remember what.
No, clue is right. You can say no one really. It's very confusing when you say answers. So people do tend to say clue.
Okay, I was trying to respect the game.
No, and I appreciate that, but it is very weird to be like, yeah, the $400 answer was this. Like, even though people know that is the lingo that Jeopardy uses, it still feels very awkward to say. So a lot of people, and we do this on our pod all the time, a lot of people will say clue. The $400 clue was this or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, safe from embarrassment.
So you're good, Gooey. You didn't even know, but you were getting you had the parlance correct.
Thank goodness.
Thank you for playing Jeopardy. Let's do it again real soon.
Do you find yourself playing older games and wishing that there were new discussions about those games? Enter Tales from the Backlog. Hi, I'm Dave Jackson, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest to break down those games that may be stuck in your ever-expanding backlog. Each episode looks at one game in depth, focusing on mechanics, story, music, and other aspects with no spoilers until a clearly marked spoiler wall in the middle. If you've played the game, go ahead and climb that spoiler wall and enjoy in-depth story discussions, and if not, jump out when we warn you and maybe go play that game for yourself. We have over 100 episodes in the feed, everything from Disco Elysium to Tunic to discussion episodes about how to get into horror games, and if games actually need to be fun. or if they have more to offer. I guarantee that there's something in there for everybody. Once again, that's Tales from the Backlog, available wherever your podcasts are found.
Okay, so I think we about covered it, so great. John, thank you for joining us. I want to let everyone...
Thank you for having me.
Let everyone know we got coming up our next episode is NHL Breakaway 98. I don't know if you've played this one, John. Do you remember that?
I think I did back in the day. I don't remember anything about it. I feel like I remember it being a pretty good game, though.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely different. It's more, it's going for a more sim. There's kind of physics in it and stuff. It's less arcadey, so look forward to covering that. We were going to throw it on here, but I thought there was enough to go between the Olympics and Jeopardy that I didn't want to throw it on here. So we will.
All good.
I do want to also let people know we're going to be covering it. So we've been doing these doubled up games like one a month, and we'll do the 2-parters or sometimes one. But for this, we're actually just going to do this it's going to come out 2 weeks from the release of this episode. And we're going to start just doing that, like single games, like twice a month. Because when we started, there was a lot of games where it's just like, who wants to play Clay Fighter? Nobody, so we just like combined it. But since we've started, we've gotten a lot of interest in coming on and talking about like almost every game that exists. There's somebody who's like a sicko for it. So Now we're covered on like most games, and we've got a lot of options for guests. So just to peek behind the curtain, we're going to be splitting up like that so we can just get people more aligned with games they want to talk about. So
nice. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's Brian and I talk about this on the POD cast all the time, but like in the 90s, when you bought a CD, like if you didn't like it on the first listen, you would listen to it 10 more times because you're like, I paid $20 for this and I only have $60.
Yeah.
So like I'm going to get everything. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you listen to the CDs 10 times and you go, you know what, this still sucks and I only like the one song and I got ripped off. But I feel like it's the same thing with video games in this era, right? It's like you would have maybe an interest in something, or maybe you'd have a parent that didn't really pay attention and just like bought you a game they thought sounded cool or whatever. And then you're like, okay, I spent 60 or $70 on this game. You play it a few times. You're like, I don't really like this, but you paid that money. You were gonna beat it. You were that's just the way it was. And so I think that's probably what you two have run into is, someone just like had this shit ass game for whatever reason, and then kind of forced themselves to maybe not like it, but at least play it to completion. And then now you have this podcast where they go, oh my gosh, there's 2 people who actually want to talk about this random game that I had with me. Like, let's commiserate over that. So I'm not surprised that you have people who want to talk about these really obscure games. It makes perfect sense given that era of media.
I think that describes that exactly. Like everyone's got that game. There's some people who are like connoisseurs of that sort of stuff now that we've had on. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. Like we are for some games, not many, but there are some games where like if you want to find people talking about it in some sort of podcast or video form, we're like the definitive source for it. Because like no one else has done a podcast about it ever. So that's kind of one fun part about going chronologically is we get to pick up some of the trash along the way or whatever you want to call it. the hidden gems.
Yeah. Generous.
I mean, I think that's like you probably thought when you started like, people are only going to listen when we're talking about GoldenEye and Mario Kart and blah, blah, blah. And now you're probably finding like, people don't actually want to hear us talk about GoldenEye. They want to hear us talk about whatever shit game that is.
People are like frothing at the mouth for like very weird games that you wouldn't, some I can't even remember because I've never heard of them, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you're giving people what they want, even if they didn't know they wanted it.
That's our MO, I guess. So. Thanks, John, for coming back on. Always great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to promote? All your podcasts we mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we have, What is a Jeopardy podcast? If you're a fan of Jeopardy, it's myself and comedian, comedy writer Emily Heller. We recap every week of Jeopardy. It comes out every Tuesday, and we're recapping the previous week of games. It is the only, similar to you guys being the only chronological N64 podcast, we are the only comedy podcast about Jeopardy. And we're really I think we're finding our groove. We've got quite a few listeners now, and a lot of them are champions, former contestants. It's a really fun show. So, and even if you don't like Jeopardy, we have actually a surprising, and you probably have this too, people who are like, I never played this game, but I enjoy listening to you talk about it. Similar to us, we have people who just like Emily and I, and so they listen to the show even though they never watch Jeopardy. So even if you don't watch Jeopardy, it might be of interest to you. It's a really fun time. And we do like fun segments and stuff. It's not insanely in the weeds, I wouldn't say. And then I have the POD cast. I plugged that last time I was here. It's a new metal podcast. So if you are a late 90s enthusiast, new metal and N64 are very closely enmeshed. It's myself and Brian Quinby from the Guys podcast. We do a review of a classic new metal album every month. We just released an episode on Slipknot's third album, Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses.
Nice.
But yeah, we got tons of reviews. That was episode 71. So we've been going almost 6 years, and you can find that all wherever you get your pods. And speaking of curling, I have a curling book available for pre-order. It's called Curling Rocks, Chronicles of the Roaring Game. It's also kind of designed to be for people who don't know a ton about curling. It's a little bit about the pro game, a little bit about my own failed curling career. Lots of kind of just, it's fun, irreverent. Curling doesn't really have its definitive book, so this is me trying to write it. So it's available for pre-order now, wherever you get your books, Amazon, Chapters Indigo in Canada, bunch of places. So yeah, check it out. It's called Curling Rocks. It comes out in October, but you can pre-order it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick that up. Yeah, I think the only way it could have been more you is if Fred Durst was in one of these games or something.
He's a playable character on Jeopardy. You can he's got his little red hat on, and you can just
maybe when
play as him in Jeopardy.
Whatever console they released that Fight Club game on, I think he's in that.
Oh yeah,
so maybe
he's in that one, and he's in WWE SmackDown as a playable character as well, but not for N64. That comes later, I think. But yeah, he found his way into a few video games. I guess I should also plug my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Cullen's Basement. I'm currently playing a lot of Tony Hawk 3+4. I'm like a globally ranked Tony Hawk player, so you can check me out doing that. Or playing Jeopardy 64 Must Buzz Challenge or whatever else I got going on. So yeah, twitch.tv/Cullen's Basement.
Well, we'll definitely get you on to talk Tony Hawk in the years down the line when we cover that. And
can't wait.
I've got a lot of games from you in the meantime, so hopefully we can get you back on.
So anytime. Love chatting with you guys.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. McKenna, great job today.
You too.
All right. Check us out, flashback64.com. Check out the podcast network, SoundStone.network. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
The ZeldaCast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/SPNet for access to the ZeldaCast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.